And we are live. Hello, guys, and welcome to Jason Hebert Live. We have another missing persons interview for you today. Thank you, everybody in the chat for joining us. Luis, Kubi, Crystal, Lisa, Cheryl, quite a few yous in there. Give just a moment for a few more people to come in, and we will go over some of the specifics of tonight's case. Before we do, we have a very special guest with us today. Many of you probably know him. If you don't, we have Mr. John Lorden of the Lorden Arts True Crime YouTube channel.
Hello, hello. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing very well, John. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Do you want to give everyone a quick little rundown about what you do over there, over on Lorden Arts?
Yeah, absolutely. I am primarily a true crime channel now. I kind of started doing a little bit more looking into mysteries, a little bit into conspiracy theories and kind of fringy things. But as I started covering true crime cases, it just really grabbed at my heart and kind of pulled the channel in a different direction. So I've been doing Brain Scratch, which is my unsolved mysteries case show for over 5 years now. Searchlight for about 5 years, which is my missing persons show, and another show called Case Cracked, which is about how cases are solved and things that we learn from those cases to hopefully help other cases. And I work on a few different podcasts. I have a new one called Seriously Mysterious and one called Crime After Crime with YouTuber Danielle Hallen, where we pick a true crime topic and then tell each other a story, and we let the audience vote on which one they thought was better. So.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, and if you guys haven't checked him out, he does an amazing job. Please do. I just realized it didn't put the link to your channel. I can't believe I didn't do that. So as soon as we're done here, I'll add that link. I could have sworn I did, but I don't see it in there when I look. But
yeah, for anyone interested, it's just lordenarts.com is the easiest way to find me, or on Twitter at lordenarts.
All right, awesome. So please make sure to check him out, guys. For everyone just joining and not familiar with the case, tonight we will speak to Kelsey Smith, who is the daughter of Echo Lloyd, who is missing out of Missouri, Edwards, Missouri. So she will go over all the specifics with us. I'll just give you I'll read a quick piece of an article before we bring Kelsey on, and we'll let her kind of give you guys the specifics. So Missouri mom, 47, mysteriously vanishes on Mother's Day. We suspect foul play. Echo Lloyd has been missing since May 10th and has none of her personal belongings with her. This is an article from people.com. I'm going to read a quick piece of it for you guys. A Missouri mom has been missing since Mother's Day, leaving her family and investigators desperately searching for any clue as to what happened to her. Echo Lloyd, 47, who lives in the Fort View area of Edwards, was believed to have been last seen. It says the Dollar General in Climax Springs, but we're told that it actually was not the Climax Springs, that it was the Warsaw Dollar General. So I think that has been misreported for anyone who is familiar with the case. So we will have Kelsey update us on the specifics of that. Lloyd's daughter, Kelsey Smith, said she wouldn't just walk away from her family. My son was just 1 month old when she disappeared. She loves her grandbabies. She'd never leave us, and she'd never leave her grandbabies. So Smith realized her mother was missing from her home on May 15th, so about 5 days later. Nothing missing but her keys in her medication, Smith wrote on a GoFundMe team fundraiser asking for donations to help in the search of her mother. So there's some things that were taken, some things that weren't. I will allow Kelsey to go over kind of some of the details there. But let me introduce Kelsey Smith, who is Echo's daughter. Kelsey, I just want to thank you so much for joining us tonight and just say we're so sorry for what you're going through, and you have our support.
Thank you. And thank you for having me on, and thank you for spreading the word about Mom. I really appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. Oh, and speaking of that, yeah, John, you will be doing another episode on your channel about this case later in the week, right? For anyone who wants to check that out and continue further.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to do an episode of Searchlight that will be released on Wednesday morning. I'm going to kind of try to weave in a few things from the interview segment here, but then do my usual go over all of the articles and pull together hopefully one cohesive version of this story. And I just wanted to start by saying, Kelsey, I have a suggestion box where people actually tell me about cases and ask me to help with cases. And I heard about Echo's case so often in that box that when I started talking to Jason and he was telling me this one was coming up, I was like, it has to be this case. We have to work together on this particular case. And when I started looking into it, I realized it's really because of you. And I just wanted to call out every missing persons case needs a quarterback, needs someone that's kind of willing to be the
Absolutely.
center and to help raise that exposure. And you are literally doing one of the best jobs that I've seen at that. And I know you've got your own life going and other things to balance with all that. You're doing phenomenal. So just know that you're firing on all cylinders.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. You're
I'm
doing
doing my
amazing.
best. I'm doing my best.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we need to see if we can get you some more help.
Get this out everywhere we can, and we
Yes.
just pray that you never know what
Yes.
set of eyes is going to be the one to know something and come forward. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Someone out there knows something. So yeah, it's just a little bit of courage. Come forward.
Someone always
Yeah.
knows something. So we will go into all the information of where, as far as how to contact, whether it's myself, John, Kelsey, the authorities, anyone like that. We will go over that towards the end. Before we do, we kind of went over some quick basics there as far as it was on the 10th. You found out on the 15th. Do you want to take us through the timeline of the days leading up to that day, what we do know, and kind of we'll try to work through it from there?
Sure. So the 9th was the last day that Mom and I spoke. It was over the phone. A couple of her girlfriends I went by, saw her briefly at her home. After that, she had called me come evening time, wanted to make sure the boys had gotten the card she had sent with her friends for my boys. Wanted to make sure my baby sister got a text message from her, that she loved me and she'd, call me soon. We didn't speak the next day. I just decided, I believe it was about, 3:30 to 4:30. I can't remember the exact time, but decided to just go over to her house, take the flowers that I had bought her in a card. When I got there, her car wasn't there. So I just left a note on the back of the card and left the flowers on the back stoop for her. I didn't ever receive a call that evening. So come Monday morning, I was trying the house phone and the cell phone. Both were going straight to voicemail. I would try again in the evening. I tried every day of the week up until Friday morning and evening to call her. Everything just went straight to voicemail. And that's whenever I had text the neighbor, demanding to speak with her. Was told I'd receive a phone call later, and no phone call came. So come Friday morning, I had texted the same person, asking about it, and was promised to call when they saw her. They hadn't seen her yet, supposedly. And I just said, don't worry about it. I was going over to her house. And I went to her house about 10:30 in the morning. She's a night owl, so she'll typically, sleep in a little later, especially later than 9:30, 10:30. She's normally waking up about 11 to noon. So I'll go and bang on her window. So that's where I started out, banging on her window, telling her she had to come to the door. There wasn't any answer. First I went to the front door, the back door. I went over to her she shed, to, maybe she was over there doing a project in the morning, who knows. No answers. So I went down to the neighbor's house and I banged on their door and the window, demanding to see her or to speak with somebody. They greeted me at the door, told me that, they hadn't seen her. She had taken the keys from them recently because I asked if they had the keys. I was going to break into her house if no one had a set of keys. She had taken the keys from them. She wanted to be alone. I'm sorry, my kids are right there. Threw me off.
Okay.
That she wanted to be alone. And I just said, okay. And I went back up to her house and, I went ahead and I just got in through a window that was unlocked. So I was able to actually slide it up and climb through. And I noticed that the house was kind of out of sorts. Like I say, not ransacked, not looking like things were, I'd gone through or somebody was trying to rob her. Everything just kind of looked out of place, like a moldy can of food sitting out on the kitchen counter. I don't know how to explain the different little piles of trash or just things that looked like they should have been trash items in piles on the floor. My mom's a very organized OCD type person. when I walked back down the hallway and looked into her room, the first thing I noticed was the lighter and the cigarettes on her nightstand and her purse immediately under her nightstand. And right there kind of raised the alarm for me, because my mom doesn't go anywhere without her purse. She doesn't go anywhere without her cigarette. Her car was in the driveway that morning when I got there also. I looked through her purse. I got her wallet. Her ID was in there. Cash was in there. I did not, however, find her keys. I didn't find her cell phone or her pistol or her medications. Those items were missing at that time. And then I called the sheriff's department, and an investigation was then started.
Now, one of the things when I heard that description, you've talked about several things that sound like they could be of value in terms of medication. And I heard your interview on Web Sleuths as well. This would be a type of medication that could hit the black market, or that someone would use recreationally, right?
Yeah, there's a couple of them. Just she's physically dependent. So when I brought these up, she's physically dependent on an antidepressant, and it's an anxiety medication, that somebody could want. So I've seen a lot of different things, that have been thrown around and different ideas. But it's not something to help her with an addiction. It's not an opioid or anything like that. It was specifically just one or two medications of hers. That yeah, it wasn't for pain or anything. But I would consider it something that somebody would want. It's not just something that anybody has. I believe it's a narcotic.
Okay. Did you notice anything else that seemed that it was valuable that was taken from the house? It's interesting to me because, yeah, that's the thing. And I know you said her purse was still there and there was money in the purse, right?
There was cash in her purse, yes.
Yeah.
And with the cell phone being missing, how has that been completely tracked? Do we know the last spot it was pinged? Where does that stand? You said she had the pistol, the cell phone.
Yeah, I know that they have all the information pertaining to her phone. If the phone has been located, I do not know. But as far as I know, they've looked into or are looking into all of everything that's going on with her phone, and pings, anything like that. I'd say that they've tried to look into, but they're probably not going to tell me that, to be honest.
Okay.
You had talked several times, and I know we can't go into details in terms of naming the neighbor, but can you give us some more insight into their relationship? I find it interesting that the first thing you did was essentially start reaching out to the neighbor to find out where she was when she was missing.
Right. So about a month after Mom had bought this house, I was staying with her at the time. We hadn't bought our house yet, close, to hers. We were probably there, I want to say it was about a month or so. And he met her by walking up through the backwoods behind her house. So she kind of brought him up, the front porch to meet me and my son. And it was really odd. It was odd how he showed up. And then he kind of never left after that. He didn't leave even whenever he was asked. He didn't leave when he was told. So, I mean, he preyed on her good nature, I think. He just found somebody who was vulnerable and somebody who wanted a companion and a friend to confide in. Someone down here, someone local, a buddy. And I think that's what she thought she had found in the beginning. I think by the time maybe that she figured out what was going on in the end, it was too late. And things might have been done out of fear. But there was multiple times she had asked, spending time with family for the holiday last Christmas. I'm going to contact you whenever I'd like to hang out again. When our family arrived for Christmas, he was outside doing things around the house. Knowing that there was the note received, please do not come around, I will contact you. There's an instance after that, I had to sit this person down and discuss boundaries. and how there weren't any for them. You know, needing to lock our doors, her wanting to have the curtains down, you know, just in case she wasn't sure if he was ever just going to show up. He would come in without knocking, not announce. So I think he just really knew who he was maybe preying on, because I could see, I didn't see obviously to the extent of what I believe it's went to. I don't know that anybody really sees that coming.
Well, and I kind of heard in the Web Sleuths interview where it almost sounded like he was squatting. Like, did he take over her house?
So she came to me 2 weeks before she disappeared. And it really messed with me. It really messed with me because she came over, and it told me, you know, he had taken over the house, the car, the keys, the money. You know, I'll remember those I'll always remember those exact things. And she told me a lot of different things over a couple hours. And she decided to go home. You know, it was her home. She was calm then. She was going to take her home back. You know, and she's stubborn and strong-willed. I really tried to get her to stay here, but it kind of threw me off. And then she was calling me every day. You see everything 2020 in hindsight. So I wish I would have seen then how I see it now. But, you know, I just remember even letting her leave my house that day. As she drove away, I thought I should have hugged her again. You know, I asked her right before she left, do you have your pistol? And she said, you know, it was in her purse. So this person did make me nervous. And I had expressed multiple times how I didn't like this person, how I was uncomfortable with him. It just seemed like their boundaries, you know, there were no limits, and they wouldn't go. You know, and her and I had discussed, because this boyfriend aspect has been thrown out. It's something her and I had really discussed, and I believe my mother 100% over, you know, anything else, and that they were just friends. It was strictly platonic. There wasn't anything, you know, like that between them, and I truly believe it was probably a want what I can't have situation. I think that she was, you know, telling him it was time for him to finally go, and he couldn't handle that.
Well, and it's something important to remember is that even from her perspective, if it was a platonic relationship, from his perspective, things could have been a lot different. And especially if he feels like he's making these inroads of like, oh, look, I'm able to stay at her house longer and longer. And now I'm sleeping on the couch, and now I'm using her car.
Right.
And that's where it gets scary, because it's really about his perspective at that point, not about hers.
Right. Right.
Kelsey, when did that conversation happen? That would have been late April, right?
The conversation with my mom, the 2 weeks before she disappeared. It would have been like the first week of May or the very end of April. Yeah. My son was about a month old. Was he 4 weeks old? Hold on a moment. I think it was like around the first week of May, maybe the very, very end of April, because my son was teeny tiny.
Okay. We do have a question from the chat from Kubi, who asks, the window, was it always broken, the one you climbed into, or?
It was not always broken, no. It was halfway actually out already. So it looked like, you know, it had been out for a while. I wasn't aware of it being out before. It may have been out before then. It's really a good question. I'm not sure why that window was broken.
Right.
I just was able to slide it up, so I'm not sure.
Huh. Levi Bullock makes a good point. If you look up Patty Krieger, you can see the story of a woman who had her home taken over by a quote unquote friend and went missing from South Mountain. So sounds like that might be a similar case. Similar case to your mother's. I'm going to go over a few pictures, John, if you want to.
Yeah. Well, I also wanted to call out, I see a Gulf Coast girl made a comment that said, my husband is boots on the ground right now in Missouri. for Echo Lloyd. And I've actually heard from several people that say they are helping in some way. Kelsey, can you tell us about what's going on right now?
Absolutely.
Are you aware of these
Um,
efforts, or are they happening without you?
I'm unaware of quite a bit. I'm aware of some. I know of Gonzo and who does the Dell who does crime. I'm aware of them coming.
And if
But
I
I
could just
really,
add, I apologize. If I could just add to John's in your answer, can you tell everyone how they can get involved if they'd like to help? Some people that aren't familiar with how yet. Sorry to interrupt you there. Just want to.
yeah. If no, you're okay. If people want to get involved, we do have a Bring Echo Home Facebook page. That's the official page for Echo. We also have, an email if you want to touch base with us. That way, Bring Echo Home. We've got a website, bringechohome.com. And also we all do have a GoFundMe. That is Bring Echo Home. And that's to help towards, reward money, legal fees, search fees, and anything that might come kind of in between. But we mainly want this money to go towards reward money for whoever might be able to help us. Gets mom.
Well, a regular part of Searchlight is us finding GoFundMe's like that, and I can tell you there'll at least be a donation coming from us on that when we cover it on Wednesday.
Thank you.
One other thing that you had mentioned, you talked about the nightstand, that you found her cigarettes, her lighter on the nightstand, and I think I've heard you speak about that. Even if she was taking a walk outside, she would have taken the cigarettes with her, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
It wouldn't matter where she went. Her sets would normally go with her. Her purse would go with her. She carried her purse everywhere she went. So even if she was just going to do something outside, her purse would have went with her just to, out the back porch or wherever. Her purse normally would go with her wherever she was going. So it was just to see both of those still in that place and her nowhere to be found it was extremely alarming.
Well, and that's what I want to ask about, is in that specific place, is that a place where she would put those items if she was generally in the house, or is that a place where she would have those items just if she was going to bed for the night?
If she were in her room, and normally her room was kind of her sacred space. She was remodeling. She was doing the living room at that point, that I knew of. And so, that was right where she normally would have it if she were in her room or in that space. Because like I said, just kind of like she took her purse wherever. Even if she went to a different room in the house, she'd normally still take her purse with her wherever she went.
And before I ask this next question, I just want to be clear that anything said on the show, it's all alleged. We're not making any hard accusations about anybody. It's all just trying to piece together info that we find out. But this neighbor, or anyone really, how well known was this pistol that she had? Did other people, including him, know that she had it? Would they have known where to find it? Or where to find it? Or what was the situation with it? Was it well known?
Yeah, mom definitely, she had it on her at all times. She typically wore it on her hip.
Okay.
Sometimes she carried it in her purse, but a lot of times she'd have it on her.
Okay. So it was always using her hip. But when she didn't have it on her hip, did she have it like in a safe or in a drawer or?
I think she'd put it sometimes in a safe, but a lot of times, like I said, if it wasn't on her, it'd be in her purse, right next to her bed. A lot of times that's why it wouldn't be on her, is because, she's going to bed. She'd just have it in her purse right next to her. So it was always visible. It was never hidden, for, she didn't try to keep it either.
Okay. I was just trying to think if, go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, Shiva's girl asked earlier, was anyone else living at your mom's outside of, we know we have this neighbor with this kind of bizarre situation, but no one else is living there with her?
No, not at that time. No.
And do we know, is the neighbor living alone also?
They were not living alone at that time.
Okay. So that's kind of what I was wondering too. I wonder if this became a little bit of a getaway spot for the neighbor for some reason to maybe get out of the situation that they were in at the other home.
Right.
Now, we spoke about this beforehand, but anything we ask, if it's something you don't want to go into detail for any reason, you don't have to feel pressure to at all.
Okay.
If you feel like it's something that could hurt the investigation or something like that. But we do have Ivy Push asking pretty much about just your experience with law enforcement. Are they helpful? Is there more you wish they would be doing, or you know, do you want to go into that at all? How they've been?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't understand why law enforcement does what they do, so I wouldn't speak illy on anything that they've done at all whatsoever. I'm very grateful to them to put in as many hours as I know that they have. You know, I stay in close contact with Missouri State Highway Patrol. He'll talk to me almost any time, you know, any time of the day. So I'm very grateful to them. You know, it's really hard personally, and for my whole family when, I mean, I understand there's no crime scene, there's no body, there's no evidence on their end. But when we haven't had any dogs or anything really brought out there, to kind of mark some of these areas off, it's really hard for me to just kind of go off of, you know, that there's just nothing. So I'm, like I said, I don't know why they do what they do. But I really wish the dogs maybe would have been brought out in the beginning. I don't know if we've lost too much time on doing that, if there were possibly anything there, or if there possibly still is. But I really feel like Missouri State Highway Patrol is, you know, they're doing everything that they can.
It's really good to hear that, and good to hear that you're in that space with it, because it's very frequent that I'm talking to families and they're talking about how frustrated they are and how upset they are that not enough's happening, and they don't hear from law enforcement very well. And I'm always trying to encourage them that you really have to keep that relationship up, because there's a lot of different outcomes where you're probably going to need them, and, you know, kind of burning that bridge and then hoping later to just rebuild it instantly when you need them is a tough place to go. So, but there's also a flip side to that, Kelsey, and that's just being kind of mindful about, are we doing everything to really help this case? And that's where I'm thankful that they're not, I mean, I know there's certain things they're telling you to not discuss, and I totally get that, but they're not telling you, don't talk to people about this, don't do interviews about that. I mean, I've heard of all kinds of different experiences, and it sounds like you guys are hitting a good mix with this, which is tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to do. Kind of on that same topic, I know you've got the official Facebook account, and I just want to touch on this because sometimes I see different types of Facebook groups and I don't know how helpful or not they are. There are other groups about this case. And did I hear that in one of those instances you were actually ejected from a group about this case?
Yeah. One of them I'm banned from.
I don't get it. Like, you're being the most helpful source of information about this case. How can you have a conversation about this case and then ban the person that's sharing all the details?
I am personally having a really hard time with how much it feels like moms become entertainment.
Yeah.
How easily people's emotions are preyed on. You know, people ransoms and things like that. So I don't understand why the page is up. I've actually asked politely for, you know, other pages to be taken down. Just it gets very confusing, and I'm up for all discussions. But yeah, it's gone a little. It's gone way different than what I guess I expected. I didn't expect that, but I guess you don't know what to expect in this situation either. So.
Yeah, well, just know that there's usually a pretty vocal minority that will act that way, and there's a lot more good out there for those little pain points that you'll hit on the social media front. There's thousands and thousands of people that are going to do the right thing and actually try to help you and be a part of the solution for this. So, but I just wanted to share that because I want everyone to be aware of that. I've always had this strange question, and there's people that are part of my support team that are even starting like private Facebook groups, and I don't know exactly what the benefit is. And then if you have a strange situation like this where a person related to the case gets banned, like, it just really makes me think twice about what is the benefit of doing it this way. And what an important and huge consideration for all of us to think about, all of us in the true crime creation space. It's yes, we understand this is a show, but that's not what Echo's life is. That's not what Kelsey's living right now.
Right.
It's a very different reality, and we need to respect that.
And yeah, like John says, just so you know, you always have the vocal minority, but remember, there always is the silent majority. Most people are there and
Yeah.
supportive, even if they're not the loudest ones. And we're only going to try to help grow that. And I see that with a lot of cases, actually, especially like the really, really big ones as they grow. What I find out, especially if someone gets kicked out of the main group, then they want to go start a conspiracy group. You know, they're mad at the family, or so. You know, don't let that stuff dissuade you. For every one person being a jerk, it's probably like a 12-year-old kid half the time, just thinking it's funny to say the worst thing you can. You know, you have 100 that support you and are here for you. I just want to address someone in the chat. So we have someone Prime Crime asking to connect with you, Kelsey. I'm going to have him message you on Facebook if that's all right. The link is in the description,
Yeah.
Kelsey. He's asking about like help with some searches and stuff. I don't want to ask too specific questions to you here. Don't give you time to think.
Okay.
So I'm going to have him contact you so you can kind of give it a little bit of time to think about what he's asking.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's
you can
perfect.
contact her.
That's perfect.
And have you, I don't know if I know that you don't really know the answer to this probably because you're not quite sure everything the police are doing. But as far as you know, have the police talked to him, the neighbor?
Yeah, as far
And
as I know, the police have questioned everybody possible. The neighbor would definitely be included. You know, they were the first person, really the only person that I really tried to raise alarm about. So I'm not sure. I mean, obviously it's not went anywhere. There's no suspects, no persons of interest, you know, from Missouri State Highway Patrol. They don't have anybody. But they have questioned him as far as I know.
And isn't there, do I remember right? There's a Walmart trip tied together where your mother and the neighbor were there together?
On Mother's Day, yes. On that Sunday, Mother's Day, the day I was dropping off the card and the flowers, they were at Walmart. At that time, I did find a receipt on her washer the day we did the search. So it's Saturday, the next day, and it did have her handwriting on it. I don't remember what the handwriting was, and I don't remember the items on the receipt or the timestamp. I handed it over to the police, the sheriff's department. So they have that information. But I do know that she was at Walmart on the 10th.
Okay. So the handwriting you can confirm is hers. It's not like the neighbor went to Walmart, happened to use her credit card, and then brought the receipt home. You can actually confirm she touched this. Okay. Is that one of the last pieces? Okay. Is that one of the last pieces that we know is like a confirmed your mother did this?
That and going to the Dollar General in Warsaw. The Dollar General in Warsaw, she did go there on May 10th. I spoke and we confirmed with the employees of the Dollar General in Warsaw that it was the 10th, the day that she came in, and it was Warsaw. It was in Climax Springs. So I'm not sure what the discrepancy is with the Climax Springs. We're of course still making sure that law enforcement is checking that out. Maybe she happened to go there on the 11th, but I believe it was the 10th, and it's Warsaw. It's not Climax Springs. So I do know that for sure. What's that?
Okay. Do we have a time frame on when she was at Dollar General?
I don't have the time frame for you. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm not sure what that was.
Have you gotten a sense of maybe that would it make sense if that was the same trip to Walmart? Is Dollar General like close to where the Walmart is?
Yeah, it actually is fairly close. It would make sense for where her home is from a Walmart or the Dollar General. It would make sense for her to go to both of those places, you know, in the same trip, most likely.
And when you spoke to the people at Dollar General, did they mention that she was there with somebody?
Yeah, they did mention, that there was supposedly a group of people, I think, waiting for her outside. From what they've said, I've just kind of taken that information and passed it on to law enforcement. Again, I'm going to have Missouri State Highway Patrol really kind of dig into that.
Does that make sense of who the group could have been? I mean, did she have any groups that she hung? Did they say? Are we talking 3 people, 10 people when they say a group?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to go on to the next question
Okay.
with Missouri State Highway Patrol and really get into it. Again, they're going to go back through and talk to the employees and get all the answers. But from what we were told, it was I don't know if mom had told them that. I believe that that's what they were told. So again, I haven't completely even confirmed that myself. I'm leaving that to law enforcement, you know, to get the answers to that.
Okay. So Chris says, can we talk about her car? From what I know, was there at her house. Have the police taken it into forensics, or has it been searched? Your mom's car?
Yes, they have her vehicle. As far as I know, yeah, they took it.
Okay.
Did you happen to notice the time on the receipt from Walmart?
I don't remember what the timestamp was on that receipt. No.
Okay. I'm just as we're going, I'm trying to put together like a timeline of all the events to try to help organize this.
Yeah.
Louise Haraway also made a good point. She's saying she finds it strange that Echo did not ring Kelsey to thank her for the flowers. Is that something your mom would have done? Like called you right away? Oh, I got this. Thank you.
What was that? I'm sorry. Ask the question again. You cut out for just a moment. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Would it have been normal for your mother to call you when a gift was left on her back stoop?
For the fact that I had written on a note, you know, to give me a call. It's easy for my mom to be forgetful and maybe have forgotten, you know, to give me a call, but that's why I was trying to call her come Monday. It is odd for her not to have called me back though when I told her, you know, specifically to give me a call as soon as she got home. I believe that she would have. So I did find it odd.
And have you went around to not that neighbor, of course, but different neighbors on the street to see if maybe anyone has any home camera footage of anything that they caught throughout those few days?
I haven't checked on home camera footage. No, you know, we went up and spoke to some of the neighbors and as we put signs and things up, but I didn't check on camera feeds or anything like that. That's something actually that's a really good idea to look into, not something I thought about.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of people asking about helping with searches and stuff. Maybe that's something, if anyone knows the area or could think of any cameras on that street or around the block or something, maybe, you know, pretty much anything will help at this point, guys. So if you have any ideas, you know, please let us know.
All right.
Laughing Hawk is asking, were the flowers in the house? Did you notice where the items that you left on the stoop, did they wind up in the house?
The card was open, and all I remember seeing, and I don't remember if I got the card or not, was the envelope was on her dresser, you know, standing up. The plant was still outside though. I would have figured mom to take the plant in, but it was sitting in a different place. It wasn't still just sitting in the stoop either. It was sitting somewhere different. The card was on her dresser. So I figured she had gotten it, but you know, I could be wrong, I guess. You know, it could have been somebody else who got that if they had access to her home.
Okay. A couple of people commenting on the area. Yeah, it is a pretty rural area from what we understand, guys. Let me just a moment.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a door cam that would really catch that based on what the area looks like to me.
And Karma Justice asks, is the neighbor still living at the mom's house? How long after? No. I thought she was going to ask if the neighbor's still living next door, but yeah, not living at your mom's house, of course.
No, of course. Absolutely
right,
not.
right.
That's actually a good question. Is the neighbor still in the area though?
Yeah, that's what I thought it was going to be asked.
I'm not sure where the neighbor is at this time.
And have they tried to
I do
contact
not
you at all?
believe they live in that area. No, they have not tried to contact me at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
As far as I know, they haven't tried to help look for her or, contact one in the family.
So if that person is out there, you might want to contact someone, the authorities first off, just to say your side or whatever. And again, no accusations, but just suggestions. But you might want to be a little open if you have anything to say to the neighbor. Okay, that was a nice. So Julie W asks, are you aware if the broken window was dusted for prints? That window.
As far as I know, forensics has been taken to her home also. Excuse me. Sorry, my allergies. As far as I know, forensics have been to her home and they've done a sweep of the whole house, done whatever they needed to do. So if there was anything there, they would have found it at that time.
Okay.
Now,
Sorry.
during the Web Sleuths interview, I heard you got a little boost of good news about Texas EquiSearch, and I know that interview was several weeks ago. Do you have any updates on their involvement?
So Texas EquiSearch is not able to come up until they have a location that law enforcement can point them to. And that's the issue I'm running into with quite a few groups is from my point of view, I have places that I believe should be starting points. But from law enforcement's point of view, there's no crime scene, there's no body, there's no evidence. So they don't have anywhere to begin. They don't have any locations to start. So until they can kind of pass that information on to Texas EquiSearch, they won't be able to, come up. But as soon as they do get a location, they'll be here.
Okay. Okay.
And you had mentioned the medicine she's on. I'm assuming that it's been checked into to make sure she hasn't gotten any refills or anything on those, right?
Since May, yeah. Since May,
Okay.
as far as I know, there have not been any. No.
Okay.
And no cell phone activity, no bank card usage?
As far as we know.
No.
Yeah. And I know that you said the police are kind of handling that. Well, you said that you didn't know if they had any info on the phone like that, but aren't there like apps and Find My Phones and things like that you could try to maybe from her home phone, her home computer, try to track where her phone was? Could you do that independently? I'm not a good tech guy, so I'm kind of asking, like genuinely asking. Have you looked into anything like that, tracking the phone your own?
We could. I don't know that we've tried that. I think that was something actually my stepdad tried
Okay.
in the beginning. But I'm not 100% sure. It's something I can definitely check on. But I think that he was kind of trying to figure out, her information, trying to find whatever he could, seeing if we couldn't find anything, email, anything like that.
I see some people in chat talking about, they're just wondering if there's any water sources nearby. Yes. She wanted to live close. Can you tell us about this, Kelsey? What motivated her to move to that area? Obviously it's close to a lake, but what?
Yeah, she loves the lake life. She was kind of starting over. Her and my stepdad had been separated. So this was kind of where she picked. She wasn't very far from the water. She's right at the water's, edge from really any direction you want to go. You're kind of right in one of the little fingers of the lake or one of the little channels. So she loved the lake life, and that's what she wanted to do. She kind of wanted to live out here in a rural area where she had space of her own, a little bit of solitude, and being able to be right at the water where she can go fishing, she can go hiking, and do all those things.
And that's one of the tricky things because there's a substantial amount of land that is just around this property, and it looks like it's pretty heavily wooded, right?
Right. Yeah. So some of her property, it also kind of butts up to what is owned by Forbes 500. And that comes up to closer to 12,500 acres of land. And, there's not that many property owners back in there. It's just a lot of rural areas. It's a lot of timber out there is what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of timber out that direction, and then the other direction, it's landowners that either have farms or they just have acreage out in the timber, that people don't frequent.
And not just as the last question on the phone, because we've kind of answered a few, but do you know if it's iPhone or Android? People are asking in the chat. Or your mom's phone?
iPhone.
Okay, so yeah, they're saying there definitely should be some kind of way to track it. Maybe we can, if anyone has any info, let us know as far as the best way to do it. It sounds like did you say your dad might have already looked into it?
I believe my stepfather, her husband did try to get access to, phone information. But again, I can definitely check back in on that. It's been quite a few months, and there's been a lot that's happened since, but I believe that was one of the first things that we tried.
Okay. Did she have a home computer as well?
I don't believe she had a laptop. I know that she had a tablet.
And do you know where that is?
Yes, I do. At least one. I'm one that I'm aware of. I'm not sure if she had. Sometimes she had like an extra one, if that makes sense, or like a Kindle or something. But I'm not sure if that wasn't back at the old house. So I'm not sure if she even had that with her. But the one I know of, I know exactly where it's at.
So some things to be aware of is if she was a Gmail user, there is a lot of location tracking that happens when you're signed up on Google services. If you go to Google Maps, there's a thing called timeline, and it'll actually show you where you've been, and it's all based on your phone data. So if you can get to a device that is logged in as her, you can check that timeline and then see where that device or where her phone has actually gone. The other thing to keep in mind is if she's a Facebook user, kind of the same thing, but not as robust. Facebook also tracks where the logins are happening from and actually shows you the location if you go into the security features in Facebook.
Okay.
Something else to keep in mind, if you do find a service, some services, if you don't know the password, are tied to your phone account, and they'll send a link to your phone, usually through a text message, for you to reset that password. I've actually heard of a case where a different family bought a new phone and they wound up getting the same phone number as a missing person. And the family of the missing person was trying to get into that account. And this person with this new phone is like, hey, my kid's getting all these weird text messages for resetting their password. They contacted the family and they actually helped the family get those passwords unlocked. So I don't know if the phone's still active, but if it is still active, it might make sense for her husband or her ex-husband to get another actual physical phone with that same phone number attached to it. That might help you guys get into her accounts as well if you need help with that.
Yeah, that's a unique idea. Wow.
Yeah.
Really good idea.
Yeah, I'm just trying to throw everything I can that I've heard from other cases.
Absolutely. Thank you so much to Lee for the super sticker. Kelsey, I'd like to do this. We'll give a couple minutes for a couple more questions to get in the chat as we start to wind down a little bit here since we're nearing an hour. But before we do, I'd like to do a segment at the end. We always, of course, hope for a positive outcome. Some kind of explanation that you didn't even think of, that, it comes up and it's like, oh my God, wow, this wasn't an ideal situation, but at least in the end it's solved and everyone is happy. So we, of course, hope that for whatever reason, she just maybe dealt with too much, is dealing with something, needed some time away and stepped away. So I like to do something towards the end where if you want to speak directly to her, you can also take the moment to speak to anyone who you think might have information, or however you would like to use the time. But I just feel it's an important thing for them to see you speak directly to them.
Well, I don't believe that Mom left on her own accord at all whatsoever. So really, it's just for, that I know that someone out there knows something, and all we're asking, I know, is something, big to need to be brave about and to be courageous about. But we only need you to be courageous for those 5 seconds, those 5 minutes. You can stay anonymous, all we ask is that you please come forward, and there is $7,000 reward money for, the person who leads us to Echo being brought home. So, there is the money behind it also. We just pray that you can be brave and be courageous, and if you need to, stay anonymous. But please come forward.
I just responded to a question. Thank you, Kelsey. And I know that sometimes that's like one of the harder parts of the interview. So sorry to put you on the spot. I just feel like it's important for whoever's listening to hear directly from you.
Absolutely.
John, are there any questions that you had on your list that we weren't able to get to?
Just one thing, Kelsey, I don't think I've found a profile for your mom on NamUs. I don't know if you know what NamUs is, but it's a national database of missing persons. Is there a particular reason? Because if not, I'll get her entered there.
I think there's actually been a couple of people who have tried getting her into NamUs. I don't know if law enforcement has to send something back to them, or there's something in order for it to be publicly put on there, or her file or profile. But we're waiting on something to come back for her information to actually be able to be on there. But I know that there's actually been a few people that, since they didn't notice, she was on there, they went ahead and tried to make one for her. So I'm not sure what's going on with it right now.
That's what's odd about it, because typically, NamUs will reach out and try to verify the information with the department that's leading the investigation, but it's not like they really have to get a whole lot back. I mean, I think they answer some questions in an email or take a phone call and kind of say, yeah, go ahead and do it. The times where I've seen an account not pop up on NamUs has specifically been because of where the state of the investigation is. Like they literally know the person isn't missing anymore, or there's some other reason why law enforcement is telling them don't bother posting that because this is about to take a left turn or something. So that's why I just wanted to make sure. I know you have a good relationship going with them right now. You might just want to kind of put the little bug towards the investigator the next time and just say, you know what, I've got all these people that are saying it's not on NamUs and I don't know why. It's a very important aspect, particularly for missing persons. And I really encourage it in all cases, but specifically when we're talking about areas like this, vast wilderness, water sources, things of that nature. It's a really important component to helping to solve some of those cases. So, if there's something you could do to nudge them on that, you might want to do that.
And we do have one last question. It's come up quite a bit, so I want to make sure to ask it. But they're asking about, and again, if you don't want to answer anything, you don't have to. But they're asking about an alibi for your stepdad, if that has been looked into, or your thoughts on. It's been asked quite a bit, so I figured I would.
Yeah, he's also been looked into, but again, we all truly 100% believe he would have he loved my mom, absolutely nothing to do with it. But yes, everybody is being looked into or has been, looked into by law enforcement. Everyone's timeline, things like that, as far as I know, has been looked into. But again, there's just no person of interest, no suspect.
So from your perspective right now, you've got a lot of focus on the neighbor, and you've also got some focus on this potential group of people that were waiting for her outside of the Dollar General. Anything else in terms of concerns that you have or other places that you want them to look into?
No, I mean, I know that anything is possible. But from everything that I know, and from every indication, from every shred of evidence, from the beginning of when he met her, to when she disappeared, I have my reasons, I guess, that I believe that there should be a suspect. So I really haven't, I don't feel like there's anywhere else to look. I feel like there's, it's just kind of a straight shot. I don't really understand how mom is still missing right now. It kind of floors me. So I don't have anywhere else I think that anyone should look. But again, I do know that anything's possible. I'm finding out, in this crazy world. Excuse me. But I truly believe it was the neighbor. And maybe he wasn't alone, but I truly believe that it was that person.
Well, they say where there's smoke, there's fire, and you had a very strange conversation with your mom about what was happening around her house a few weeks before this.
Right.
And
Right.
and then of course, getting in there and seeing that it looked like someone else had been staying there, or someone was in there that doesn't live the same way your mother lives. A lot to be concerned about there for sure.
Right.
So a lot of people asking about helping with chat and stuff. So again, if you guys want to answer specific questions as to where you can and can't search and things like that, please contact her directly. I don't want to put her on the spot in the interview, because that might be something that she might need to think it over or something like that, versus having her live on camera have to make the decision. That's why I haven't gotten to too many specifics. But Kelsey, is there anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to make sure is out there? Anything from identifying marks to tattoos to just habits, that any details you may know that neither myself, John, or the chat thought to get to, that you want to make sure it does get out there?
I'm trying to think of exactly what wrist had which on them. I believe it's her right wrist had a blue survivor band on it. And I believe it was her left wrist, and I could be wrong about which one it is. It had the names of her 4 children, Kelsey, Case, Caitlin, and Kylie, wrapped around like a bracelet. And then she had "Let It Be" on her forearm with birds going up it. She also did have a butterfly tattoo, I believe, on the right side, her collarbone, that's blue. And then she had, and I'm not sure which ankle it was, but she did have like a small rose tattoo on one of her ankles. But those would be the most defining, marks for her. Brown hair, brown eyes, 5'4", at 110 pounds, maybe a little less.
And
Beautiful
we have no
smile.
idea on clothing description.
I am not sure what she would have been wearing. No.
Okay. Have you seen any pictures or footage from surveillance cameras from Mother's Day where we could kind of see her clothing?
I have not personally seen any footage from them. I can check to see, but I highly doubt Walmart or Dollar General will be able to release it to me. But I don't mind asking. But I'm not
Yeah, those
sure. I
are
would, like I said, law enforcement should have that information. So I can check with them, but I don't know. I would think they could give me that information, but I don't know. I don't know what they can give me and what they can't.
everything is worth trying, because I'll tell you, I'll hear about people trying the same thing in different places and getting wildly different results. Even for a company like Walmart,
Right.
where you're like, oh, it's it's centralized corporate structure. Yeah, but every now and then you
Right.
hit someone, and just that
Yeah.
person has some connection to, oh, I've had a missing
Right.
family member
Right.
or something. Yeah, you
Right.
never know where that help might come from.
Right.
Also, Kelsey, I'm going to send you a link. I have a link to a page I've put together specifically of all kinds of different things that you can try and expect. And I don't know, have you considered doing any type of vigil or service yet to try to kind of drum up more local media support?
Yeah, we were actually considering putting a vigil together right after Christmas, between Christmas
Yeah.
and New Year's Eve. We just don't have a set date just yet, but we probably are going to plan one. We know it's going to be a little on short notice, but we are thinking about doing another one in Warsaw, another candlelight vigil for her.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And be sure that you kind of get someone that's helping you with that, in terms of sending a little release to all the local news stations and radio stations and newspapers, and just saying, hey, at this particular time on this particular day, we're going to be out here trying to raise awareness for this case. Can you guys send a
Okay.
camera? Can you get someone out here to cover this? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Ivy Push does ask, are there any more missing people in a close radius since there? Anything else that has caught your attention that you can think of might be related, or no?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
Not that I know of, but again, I am fairly new to the area. Also, I've only been here for about a year altogether. So I don't know a whole lot about the history, but I don't believe there's like a lot of people that go missing around the area or anything like that, or anything similar has happened recently.
Okay. Nothing since. Okay. All right. Well, we will definitely keep our eyes out. If there's anything we can do going forward, Kelsey, please let me know. Like John said, he's also going to do some additional work on it on his channel. If you've just joined us and weren't here at the beginning, please check John's channel out, Lord and Arts. He's doing a brain scratch episode. Is it this Wednesday morning? Did you say, John?
Yeah, it'll be on Wednesday morning, 8 Central. It'll be released. Yeah.
So please check him out. I have put his link in the description, guys. It wasn't there at the very beginning, but I have since updated that. And if you want to, let me pull up the flyer here. Sorry. If you have information on Echo Lloyd's whereabouts, please contact the Benton County Sheriff's Office at 660-438-6135. Excuse me. That's 660-438-6135. I always say call the authorities, of course, and or the family. I do also always put my information, and as you guys also can see some of John's information there. So I can't speak for him, but I don't mind when somebody contacts me with information, but I always say that who you want to get it to is the family and the authorities. You know, if you want to also send something to us, by all means, but particularly if it's time sensitive or something like that, you want to make sure not to just get it and then we don't see it for a week or something. It gets lost in the shuffle and God forbid we lose a lead we could have had or something like that. So please get it to Kelsey and the authorities. And you also can contact, us for anything additional.
Yeah. Every instance I've had of information coming my way has essentially turned to the police want to talk to the person directly or the FBI wants to talk to the person directly. So it's just it's a little bit of an unnecessary hoop, but in some cases people are nervous about talking to law enforcement and sometimes you just got to kind of guide them and help them along that. So if that's what you need for this case, of course, we're both willing to do that. Yeah.
They need that first step of reaching out to someone that they feel is more on their level versus kind of, an authority figure, I guess. Kelsey, you did an absolutely amazing job. I know your mom is super proud of you. You're a great representative for her. And I pray that we're going to get a positive resolution to this. And just let me know going forward. I'm starting to feel a little better after about 10 days. So I haven't been around much the last week or so. But if there is anything further I can do, just let me know. Same goes to you, John, if I can help out with your episode or any of future episodes, of course, just let me know.
Yeah, you got it. Thank you so much for having me on. And thanks for... Yeah. And Kelsey, thank you for just working so hard on this. And remember to take care of yourself while you're handling all this. Take care of your family. If it gets to be too much, bring on more team members. I'm sure. I mean, look at the chat that we've had here tonight. There's a bunch of people that are willing to help break off pieces of this. So don't feel like you got to take it all on yourself. You've got a lot that you're balancing there, especially with some new little feet running around that house. So
you are not alone, Kelsey. Not anymore.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Thank you, Kelsey. You did amazing. Thank you so much, John. Do you want to say goodbye to everyone? And make sure to check John's video out at Echo as well this week.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Once again, big thank you to Jason. And I also want to take a moment just to thank Jason for being another respectful voice in this true crime community, bringing his own sensibility and his own style to his channel like this. It was something I immediately recognized when I saw what he was doing here, wanted to help support it. So I'm going to be promoting, of course, Jason's work on Echo's episode that I release Wednesday as well. But I really appreciate you, man. It's been great working with you on this. And I know we're going to do some more stuff in the future as well.
Absolutely. My door is wide open to you, John. You know, I'm a huge fan. And if there's anything else we can do together, please let me know and I'll do the same for you.
You got it.
All right. Thank you so much to John. Thank you, Kelsey. You were amazing. And have a great night, everybody. Thanks for joining us in the chat. Thank you for participating. And you can contact Kelsey if you have any information or any tips below. Please give her a shout and let her know what it is you know. Never assume that what you know isn't important enough or is too small to matter. Every little bit matters. So if you know anything, please come forward. And with that, I will say good night. Have a great night, everybody. I tend to go in loops at the end of this and see like the same 3 to 4 things over and over again. So I'll end it there, guys. Thank you, everybody.